Hey guys, I'm gonna try and do a longer stream actually, and I'm not lying this time, of me reading because it's nighttime and you, my friend, all the 0 people watching, want to be read to sleep, right? I actually really enjoy this. I guess nobody else does because it's like not popular, but let's get to reading the book. This is called Leah Dives In. This is an American Girl doll book. Chapter 1. The adventure begins. Leah, don't forget your camera, Dad yelled from the hallway. My camera. I sure didn't want to leave that behind. I couldn't wait to start taking pictures of my first big adventure outside of St. Louis. I realized that I was a little nervous. I had never been outside of Missouri before, yet in 24 hours I would be 4,500 miles away in Brazil, and I didn't know a word of Portuguese. But with a camera in my hands, I felt like I could go anywhere without looking out of place. Ever since I got my brother's hand-me-down camera when I was 6, I've loved taking photos. And when my grandmother gave me a new camera for my 10th birthday, it took me everywhere. I took it with me everywhere I went. Last year, I won 3rd place in a National Kids Magazine contest for my photo collage of St. Louis. I couldn't wait to start taking photos in Brazil. Would I capture the shot that would win me 1st place? I've decided to be a photographer when I grow up. Well, that or a veterinarian, or maybe a travel writer, or a paramedic, or something else entirely. My grandmother always said, Leah, you should be open to trying new things. Life is like a buffet to be sampled. Sorry, I want candy. Jelly of my candy. Because you could be watching this laying in bed and be like, oh, she has candy. And I want candy. Sorry. I picked up my camera and stared at my overstuffed suitcase. I had no clue how I was going to pack everything I wanted to. After all, I needed room for the necessities, such as my sea turtle identification book, my passport with its butterfly cover, or my passport with its butterfly cover, a photo of my turtle Ginger, and of course my new bathing suit. I felt a rush of excitement as I imagined the sun warming my face and shoulders on the Brazilian beach. It was freezing in late January in St. Louis, Missouri. And outside my window in Lafayette Square, I could see the clapboard houses dusted with snow. But we were heading south of the equator, where it was summer. Ahem. Dad shook me out of my daydream. How do I look? He was standing in the doorway wearing clunky hiking boots, pants with too many pockets, a complicated fishing vest, and a green cloth hat with long flaps on 3 sides that covered his short, dark brown hair. Everything still had price tags on. I cringed when I imagined Dad walking around Brazil wearing this ridiculous outfit. Was he really going to wear all that at once? What? My father asked when he saw the horror on my face. If we're tromping through the Amazon rainforest, I want to be prepared. He tried to yank one of the price tags off. Don't you think Zach will be impressed? You can't. I stopped when I saw him laughing. Then he feigned serious and said, Yes, Dad. Zach's going to be totally impressed. Thinking about Zach made me smile. I hadn't seen my big brother in ages, and he was the reason we were going to Brazil. Zach and I spent lots of time together when I was little, especially when Mom and Dad had to work late, which was quite often. I used to follow him like a shadow, and we'd talk nonstop. Me asking him questions, him giving me answers. Zach even nicknamed me Cricket because he said I was always chirping up. But after Zach left for college in California 3 years ago, the house grew quiet. So did I. I missed him so much that sometimes I'd hang out in his bedroom and pretend that he was just in another room. And then when Zach headed for Brazil for a year to study the rainforest, that meant not even seeing him at Christmas. My father stepped over my clothes strewn across the floor and gave me a hug. "It's going to be great with all of us being together again," he said, adding, "I miss him too." After Dad left, I sat on my bed and stared at my suitcase. The dark brown leather was battered and looked as if it was held together with stickers from all over the world. It had belonged to Amma. It belonged to Amma or Amma? Amma, my grandmother. Amma was my hero. She smelled like orange blossoms and could roar like a lion. And was the bravest person I had ever known. Who else had a grandmother who climbed mountains and boogie boarded in the ocean and made friends in every country she visited? The last time I saw Amma, she was in the hospital. Though she struggled to sit up in bed, her familiar smile came easily. The sun was setting, and the room was bathed in a golden glow. She motioned me to her slowly unclasped the small compass necklace that she always wore. "Lean forward, Leah," she said. When I did, she put it around my neck. "This compass has been my travel companion for years, even before I was a world traveler." Amma's voice was weak. I moved closer. "It has pointed me toward all kinds of adventure, and now it can accompany you on yours." I lifted the pendant to the light and admired the red flower design on the face of the compass. "Thank you, Amma," I said. She nodded and pulled me into a tight hug. A nurse came in and said that it was time for Amma to rest. That night, while I was sleeping, my grandmother passed away peacefully. I picked up the compass from my dresser and fastened the cord around my neck. Would this compass help me in Brazil? Mom appeared in the doorway. She was carrying some old books with an orange ribbon wrapped around them. "Join me for a second," she said, sitting down on my bed. I sat next to her and peered at the mysterious books as she placed them on my lap. Amma wanted you to have these," my mother said. "She told me to give them to you when the time was right." "What are they?" I asked. "Her travel journals," Mom explained. "Amma wrote about all of her world adventures in these." I looked down at the journals. They were simply numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each had a worn cover of soft red leather. "Did you read them?" I asked. I ran my fingertips across the first book's cover. My mother nodded. "She led quite a life. Some people don't like to try new things as they get older. Your grandmother wasn't like that. In fact, she got more adventurous with age." "You mean she wasn't always a world traveler?" I asked. Mom shook her head. "When I was your age, she always stayed close to home. Amma was busy working and driving me places and always volunteering at my school. I never thought of her as someone who would one day climb mountains and go on dinosaur fossil digs. Later, though, it didn't surprise me. When I think back, I realized she always had that spark." "Like Zach," I said. Yes, I suppose so," Mom agreed. "And I see that spark in you too, Leah." I felt my cheeks go warm and touched the compass pendant that hung around my neck. Would I ever be a world traveler, like my grandmother had been? I had always wanted to be. Once when I was in kindergarten, I announced, "When I grow up, I want to be just like you, Amma." "That's funny," she said. Her hazel eyes sparkled mischievously. because I want to be just like you. And you know what Amma did? She put her gray hair in two braids that matched mine. Even though I eventually outgrew the hairstyle, my grandmother never did. I looked down at her travel journals. The covers were battered, and many of the pages were wavy as if they had gotten wet and dried all crinkly. I could hardly wait to read about Amma's journeys all over the world. As I embarked on my own journey, it would be almost like taking her with me. Chapter 2, A Familiar Face. As I looked out the airplane window, I could see mountains below. They looked so small that they reminded me of the relief map of Missouri that my best friend Abby and I had once made for school. Mom had told me that I should try to get some sleep since our journey would take over 16 hours, but I was too excited to sleep. I was going to see Zach. Zach and I both love animals. Amma was always sending photos of herself doing things like swimming with dolphins, riding a camel, or even holding a huge snake. We lived for her photos and wanted to be her. I wondered what animals I'd see in the rainforest. A jaguar, maybe. Diamonds, of course. Toucans and snakes, I hoped. And monkeys. Lots and lots of monkeys. But first, we were going to stay at the beach, which was about 1,500 miles away from the Amazon. This would be a first for me, seeing the ocean, and I couldn't wait. While Mom and Dad slept, I pulled the stack of Amma's journals out of my backpack and untied the ribbon and opened the first one. It was stuffed with photos and airplane ticket stubs and other scraps of paper, like phone numbers of people she had met. Pasted in the inside cover was a worn black and white wedding photo of a young man and women looking deliriously happy. I looked closely. The bride was Amma! I'd recognize her smile anywhere. The groom was Grandpa Bill. He died long before I was born, but Mom and Amma told me so many stories about him that I felt as if I knew him. I turned to the first page of the journal. In Amma's familiar, loopy handwriting, it began. I have decided to stop making excuses and to start traveling like Bill and I always wanted to. I'm a little nervous about traveling alone, but if I don't start now, when will I? Hello, world. Amanda Cooper is coming your way. So does that mean she's Amma? Amma. I'll just keep calling her Amma. 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 Amanda. Amma. I'll just keep calling her Amma. It's coming your way. I turned the page, eager to find out where Amma had traveled to first. Aloha from Hawaii, she wrote. Even though I'm in the United States, I feel as if I'm in another country. The island of Kailua. If you're from Hawaii, I'm sorry. You know how that's said. I'm sorry. I can't even say it. Caillou. That's the only thing I think of. Hawaii. Kauai. It's so beautiful. And the beaches. The beaches. I'm definitely not in St. Louis anymore. Today, when I was snorkeling, a giant sea turtle swam past me. At first, I panicked. He was huge. But then I realized I wasn't that interesting to him. And he just kept going. Neither one of us was in a hurry. And I marveled at the sight of him. I read that sea turtles bring good luck, so judging by the size of this one, I'll have good fortune for many years to come. To think I was once scared of traveling alone, and now I can't wait to figure out where I'll go next. Paris? Greece? The Galapagos Islands? But before I decide, it's time to hit the waves. After all, I won't see anything exciting from inside of a hotel room. Now that I've gone to the trouble of traveling to a new place, I should see and do everything I can. Gotta go. Time for my windsurfing lesson. On the next page was a photo of Alma standing next to a windsurfing board on the Hawaiian beach. Her wavy brown hair was streaked with gray and was worn loose. Skimming her shoulders, Alma's high cheekbone and freckles reminded me of my mother, and people often said that we shared the same big hazel eyes, but Alma's slightly crooked, totally radiant smile was all her own. The date in the journal was 1996. 20 years ago. My brother would have been just a few months old. When Zach announced that he wanted to study the Amazon rainforest, no one was surprised. In college, he was an environmental studies major, like Alma. He craved adventure. Despite my parents' initial objections, for his 20th birthday, my grandmother took Zach skydiving. I have a photo of the two of them in the air, grinning. It was Alma who had convinced my parents to let Zach study in the Amazon rainforest. My father came to the United States from Brazil when he was a boy, she began. That means Zach is 1/8 Brazilian. So it only seems right that we send our young man from the United States back to South America, even if it is just for a year. My mother thought it would be dangerous. My father thought it would be expensive. But with Alma on his side, Zach couldn't lose. She had a way of getting people to do things her way, by making it seem like it was their idea. He needs to test himself, she argued. He's ready. Zach can test himself right here in the United States, Dad said. There are wild animals in the rainforest, Mom pointed out, and poisonous plants, and with any luck, he will see them, Alma noted. He could catch malaria, said Mom. He'll get medicine before he goes, Alma assured her. The arguments went back and forth like a doubles tennis match, and in the end, the team of Alma and Zach triumphed. Well, it is a wonderful chance to broaden your horizons, Zach, Dad said. I wish I had studied abroad when I was in college. And Alma does have a good point about living with a family in the Brazilian rainforest being a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Mom mused. What an experience that will be! And away Zach went just like that. No one asked for my opinion. It was after midnight when we landed in Salvador, Brazil. Soon we would be meeting Zach at the hotel. I watched the suitcases going around and around the luggage carousel. They were mostly black, including ours, but Mom had tied big red ribbons around the handles so that we could spot them easily. It was a trick she had learned from Alma. As my parents struggled with the luggage, I glanced around the airport. Near the doors were a few men, each holding a sign with a name on it. These were drivers who were hired to take visitors to their hotel. Chan family, DeNovas, Dr. Birdsall, Familia Clark. That was us. It was hard to see the driver because the sign was covering his face. Plus, I was sleepy. However, when I heard him yell, "Cricket!" I snapped awake. There was only one person in the world who called me that. "It's you!" I screamed, running towards him. "Leah!" Mom called out. "What are you doing?" She paused, then cried out, "Zach!" "Zach?" Dad said, spinning around. "Zach!" I was the first to get to him. "Cricket!" He laughed as I leaped into his arms. He tried to spin me around in the air, the way we used to when I was little, and we both almost fell over. Mom and Dad joined us for what I am fairly certain was the longest group hug in the history of Brazil. We hadn't expected to see Zach at the airport, and he didn't even look like Zach. His short brown hair was now longish and wavy, and had flecks of blonde, and his tan face was covered with stubble. He just barely resembled the pale, skinny goofball I remembered. This new Zach was sort of rugged and more athletic looking. However, his blue eyes still had that sparkle that told me he was my big brother. He mussed up my hair and I grinned back at him. "Let me look at you, Cricket," he said, taking a step back. Your eyes are still hazel, and your hair is still light brown. but it's longer than I remembered. Still, I'd recognize that crazy smile anywhere. You've grown. I said this was going to be a longer stream, like maybe around an hour, but I believe I'm just going to, well, it might still be a little long, but at the 20, I'll take a little break. So yeah, so I'm gonna take a little break now from the reading. And if anyone joins, we can just chill and talk a little bit. And no one's joining. No one ever joins my live streams. I don't know why. Guess they just don't like it. Or no one actually watches me. Probably. Okay. Gonna take a short break. Hello? No thank you. Hey guys, just thank you for watching even though no one joined in the whole stream. Have a nice rest of your night. Good night. Bye. Oh, wait, did someone just come? Literally as I said I was about to end it. Okay then, hello. I guess I'll continue. If they stay. Let me find where I was. We're about to go to the next chapter. She just seen her older brother at the airport who went to the Amazon rainforest to study in her... Oh, well, the person's gone, so... They left a like, though. Thank you. But if no one's here, it's kind of been a little bit. I guess I'll end the stream. Let me give it like one more second. Alright, so bye guys. Thank you for watching. One person actually joined in this whole time and they left a like. So that's nice. I mean, I'm no big YouTuber, but that was nice. So yeah, thank you. Please give me suggestions of stuff you want to see because I'll definitely make it. If you want to see it. Bye. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.